You ever met someone who's genuinely kind? You know, they text back right away, they treat you perfectly, but you just don't feel that spark. And yet, the second someone gives you mixed signals, or acts totally emotionally unavailable, or just flat out ignores you, you become completely obsessed. Okay, let's get into this. Because if you find yourself constantly chasing people who are running away from you, I promise you, you aren't crazy. Your brain is just repeating a very old, very hidden psychological pattern.
So here's how we're going to break down that pattern today. We've got 5 parts. First, we'll look at the attraction itself. Then we'll dive into how we mistake anxiety for love. After that, we'll uncover the subconscious defense that's at play, then understand this deep desire to rewrite history. And finally, and most importantly, we'll talk about how to break this really painful cycle.
All right, let's jump right in. Chapter 1, the unsettling attraction. This is ground zero, that confusing, almost magnetic pull we feel towards the very people who seem to want nothing to do with us.
So why? Why does this happen? It feels completely illogical, maybe even a little self-destructive, right? But it is so important to understand that this is not some kind of personal failing. It's actually a deep-seated psychological response, and it has roots that go way back into our past. We're about to unpack exactly what's going on under the surface.
Okay, let's move on to Chapter 2, because this is where things get really interesting. Confusing anxiety with love. This gets to the very heart of that feeling we're always chasing. You know, the spark. So here's the big myth we tell ourselves. When you meet someone who ignores you or gives you those confusing mixed signals, your heart just starts racing. We call it chemistry, right? But what psychology actually shows us is that it's often just triggered anxiety. You're not feeling butterflies because they are soulmate. Your nervous system is just recognizing a familiar and, frankly, dangerous sense of emotional distance.
And that leads us to a key reason why this happens. It's a concept called conditional positive regard. This is what happens when somewhere in your past you learned that love isn't just given freely, it has to be earned. You know, if you grew up having to constantly fight for attention, your brain created a really strict rule. Love is something you have to prove you're worthy of.
So here's the crucial point. When a healthy person just freely offers you their love, it can feel suspicious, maybe even unearned. But when someone is distant, it feels familiar. Their distance gives you a task that your brain already knows exactly how to do. Work hard, overanalyze everything, and try to prove that you are, finally, worth loving. It's a challenge, not a real connection.
And believe it or not, this leads us right into Chapter 3, a subconscious defense. Now, this is going to sound completely backward, but chasing someone who ignores you is actually a strange way your mind tries to protect you. Think about it. When someone starts ignoring you, there's often this quiet little voice inside that says, "See, I knew they would leave." And here's the paradox. By choosing someone who is emotionally unavailable from the start, you subconsciously protect yourself from true vulnerability. To your nervous system, a person who is consistently unavailable can actually feel safer than someone who might love you and then suddenly leave you. You get to stay in control of the emotional distance. You're anticipating the disappointment before it can truly blindside you. This brings us to our second key psychological term, rejection sensitivity. Think of your nervous system as a hyperactive smoke detector. If you've experienced neglect in the past, your brain becomes incredibly alert to any tiny sign of exclusion. You're constantly scanning for rejection, you're rereading old messages, you're overanalyzing their silence, and you're always assuming the worst is about to happen. And here's the painful truth at the center of it all. You are drawn to people who pull away because they validate your deepest, most painful core belief that you are inherently replaceable and that people will always, eventually, let you down. This whole pattern, it's not really about finding love. It's about confirming a negative belief you already hold about yourself. So let's go even deeper. Chapter 4, Trying to Rewrite History. This gets to the deepest, most subconscious motivation behind this entire pattern of attraction. This is one of the most important things to get about all of this. We don't attract what we say we want, we attract what feels familiar. So if your early emotional environment was one where you were overlooked or ignored, then a healthy, emotionally available partner is going to feel incredibly boring. It will feel unnatural. To your nervous system, safety will feel strange, and chaos will feel like home. So what's the ultimate goal here? What is your subconscious really trying to do? You're chasing these people who ignore you because you are desperately trying to rewrite history.
You're hoping that if you can just get this one unavailable person to finally choose you, it will magically heal the pain of all the other people who didn't choose you in the past. You're just trying to win an old game with a brand new player.
So that brings us to Chapter 5, Breaking the Painful Cycle. After hearing all of that, you might be wondering, how do you get out of this loop? Well, the good news is you absolutely can. It just takes some conscious effort and a whole new way of thinking. It really comes down to two crucial steps. First, you have to redefine what chemistry actually feels like. You have to teach yourself that a healthy relationship feels like peace, not a panic attack. So when you meet someone who doesn't make you anxious, force yourself to stay, even if it feels a little boring at first. And second, you have to stop auditioning for people who are treating you like an option. Your worth is not and never will be determined by your ability to make an emotionally unavailable person finally pay attention to you.
And that, right there, is the core takeaway. The ultimate goal is to retrain your internal alarm system. You have to teach your nervous system, slowly, patiently, that safety is not a threat, peace is not boring, and consistent, steady love is not a trap. I really hope this helped you understand yourself a little bit better. If it did, maybe leave a like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Take care of yourself. You really do deserve it.